I had driven to this retreat and I could leave if I wanted to. I mean, I actually thought about leaving because the first night of a retreat can feel awkward, quiet, uncomfortable. And for a lot of people, that's when that little voice shows up that says, I don't belong here. And that's why we called this episode, I Almost Left the First Night on the thumbnail. And I want to be clear, I don't mean this figuratively, and I don't mean it emotionally. The very first night at my very first retreat in Taos, New Mexico, I had actually driven there and it was a writer's retreat. And once I got there, I realized I had forgotten to do one of the things they had asked us to do before we got to the retreat. And the room was filled with real writers, people whose books were actually published. And I wondered, oh my gosh, what the heck am I doing here? I haven't even finished an entire book yet. I had a lot of starts because I am Aries and I do start a lot of things. And then when I got to my room, I got a single because I wasn't ready to share a room with people that I didn't know yet. And it was really cool, but it was in a very old facility that had been a house at one time, deep in the heart of New Mexico. And guess what was on the ceiling? Spiders. At first I saw just one, but then I realized there were more. And that was when I told myself, you drove here. You can get in your car and leave right now because you really don't even belong here. Hi, friends. Welcome to Bucket List Retreats, the podcast. I'm your hostess, Kelly Morgan Murley. And if you are new here, welcome in. We are so happy to have you join the conversation all about retreating. And on this episode, we are talking about the difference between your first night on retreat and your last night on retreat and the arc, the story that happens in between those two events. Today is Friday the 13th here in February of 2026, and I'm all about it. I have always tried to keep an eye on Friday the 13th, see how it works out for me and those around me, and I've never had a reason to fear Friday the 13th. So let's just all embrace it, shall we? And of course, a very happy Valentine's Day to everyone out there. I haven't got my husband anything yet. We actually just went on a little trip this last week and we had so much fun and got ourselves a couple of things. So I think we'll probably just be good with that and make ourselves a delicious dinner, which is usually what we do. We live in a small town with very few restaurants and we've gotten really good at cooking. So I'm sure that's what we'll do and maybe pop a beautiful bottle of red wine because that goes perfect with Valentine's Day. Of course, I love getting together with girlfriends and celebrating a galentine's. Let me know if you are doing that with your girlfriends. That is just the best. We like to just really take that chance to get together and do nothing else but hang out. It's the best time. Today, we are talking about the first night of the retreat and the last night of retreat and why that first night can be quite uncomfortable. And I just explained to you how the very first night on my very first retreat was very uncomfortable. And I learned to deal with those spiders, believe it or not. That was a big step for this girl. But it is those shifts along the way that changes everything by the end. Because here is something I have learned after all of these years. This happens every retreat. But before we get into our main topic, let's check out this week's retreat news and reviews. This week we are sharing an article right out of the Palm Beach Daily News by Jody Wagner, just came out on February 10th. Zibby Owens Palm Beach Retreat unites book lovers and best-selling authors. Author Zibby Owens and her Palm Beach Book Lovers Retreat, a weekend literary retreat that just wrapped up recently in Palm Beach, Florida. Zibby Owens, who many of you probably know as the award-winning host of Totally Booked with Zibby and founder of Zibby Media, brought together about 40 retreaters and 6 authors for a rich weekend of literary talks, meals, bookish connection, and community. Her retreats focus on deep connection through books, bringing readers together with authors in a more intimate setting than the traditional festival or panel event. This Palm Beach retreat included discussions, author interactions, and community time. Exactly the kind of shared experience where people come feeling like book lovers and leave feeling like kindred spirits. I hadn't really followed Zibby before, but after seeing how she builds community and leads these events and connects people's around stories, I will definitely pay more attention. And I wanted to take a look at her socials. So here we are on Instagram. It is her Totally Booked with Zibby is the name of her Instagram handle. So check her out. I will put a link in the description of this podcast. And while you're there, go ahead and give it a like, our podcast, if you are enjoying what we're talking about here today on the podcast. We would really appreciate it. But yeah, check out Totally Booked there. She has all kinds of information on what she is up to. It looks like she's been promoting a lot of books, has gone to a lot of author readings, and it's really interesting. All of her information will be linked in the show notes. You know where I keep all of those notes for you. I love these experiential retreats. They are definitely bucket list approved. And let's go on now to retreat reviews. And I wanted to look for another experiential retreat, and we found one in the beautiful country of Ireland. I think so many of you are going to love this. Let me share the TikTok that brought all of this to my attention.
Food, how to raise farm animals like chickens, cows, and pigs. We're also learning about herbalism, fermentation, and how to create organic soil for gardening. Being here, I really do feel like I'm at Hogwarts. The teachers are all so unique and excellent in their craft. I'm learning a lot of information, and my perspective on food and agriculture has completely shifted. Today, our day started in the bread shed, folding our sourdough with the professional bakers here at Ballymaloe. We then went down to the greenhouse to learn about planting produce, sowing seeds, and starting gardens from the very early stages. My favorite part of the day was learning all about herbs and how we can grow and use them. I'm already so excited to grow my own rosemary to make oils, body lotions, and even use them for cooking. We learned about how to create microbiomes for our soil and preparing beds for the winter. The students that are there for the 12-week program made us another delicious lunch. Everything that they use is seasonal and incredibly fresh right from the farm. Another highlight of the day was getting to see the baby calves. I swear, one day if I have enough acreage to have cows, I'm absolutely doing it. On to another activity, we learned about dairy and preserving. We made yogurt and cottage cheese. I can't believe tomorrow is my last day here, but stay tuned for day 5. Welcome to day 4 of organic farm.
This organic farm school at Ballymaloe in Cork County, Ireland, is part of the legendary Ballymaloe Cookery School. It's not a retreat in your typical yoga and journaling sense, but for so many people, I'm sure it sounds like the ultimate bucket list getaway, especially for those who love food, sustainability, hands-on learning, and connecting deeply with place and process. At its heart, the Ballymaloe Organic Farm School is a boots-on-the-ground immersion. Participants learn how food is grown, how soil health works, how livestock is raised humanely, and how ingredients go from field to table. And the courses range from short courses like beekeeping, composting, seed saving, and orchard care to longer homestead styling experiences that include cheese making, bread from scratch, and digging into astroforestry principles. I find it all very interesting. And what makes it feel so retreat like, if I do say so myself, is what appears to be the rhythm and the place. You walk the farm, you work with your hands, you connect with the land and the food that is way beyond a cooking class. And the setting itself is a 100-acre farm with greenhouses, gardens, cows, and abundant produce. I would imagine it feels like a restorative session away from screens and schedules, don't you think? And I also found that it is interesting that Ballymaloe itself has a long tradition of sustainable food and celebrating organic farm to plate practices for decades. Organic Farm School offers something a little different, a bucket list learning adventure that feeds mind, body, and curiosity and gives you real skills to take home. And for many people that have visited, they describe it as one of the most transformative travel experiences of their life. Link below in the description. And be sure to click like while you're down there if you are enjoying the information we are sharing with all of you here on the podcast. I hope you all really enjoyed retreat news and reviews. I love these two experiential retreats that we just mentioned. We say it here all the time at Bucket List Retreats. It's not always about the location that makes it a bucket list experience. Actually, these experiences sometimes are so much more enhanced by a week to 10 days dedicated to them. Okay, now let's move on to today's topic of conversation. Because now we've talked all about what retreats look like from the outside, I want to talk about what they feel like from the inside. Specifically, that first night versus the last night on retreat. And if you have ever been on retreat, you know exactly where I'm going with this. The first night and the last night feel like they belong in two completely different experiences. Same location, same people, same schedule, but emotionally they could not be further apart. The first night is usually a little quiet. People are very polite. Everyone's a little guarded. You're unpacking your bag. You're scanning the room. You're wondering who everyone is. And somewhere between dinner and bedtime, that thought will sometimes creep in. Did I make a mistake coming here? Do I belong here? Should I have just stayed home? That's the night people usually tell me later I almost left. And you heard my story in the beginning. I have had that same experience. And here's the thing, that thought doesn't mean the retreat isn't working. It usually means it is. Because that first night, you step out of your familiar world and into something unknown. There's no routine yet, and you aren't sure if you are comfortable, even know how to speak the language of everyone here at the retreat. And maybe you haven't found your people yet. And I like to wow my attendees that very first night. So I try to make sure that all of us try to get there at a decent hour. No one is coming in super late. Most likely, they are already going to be tired from travel. So making that first night magical may not be easy, but it should be your goal. Somewhere after that first night, something subtle begins to shift. You have real conversations instead of small talk. You hear someone say something you did not expect. You realize that others are feeling the same way that you do. So you stop performing and you stop wondering if you belong. And slowly you exhale. This is the part that people don't always see on that first night. Nothing dramatic happens. There's no big announcement. It's just connection, layered moment by moment. And that's what changes everything. Now, fast forward to the last night. By the last night, the room feels lighter. People sit closer. The laughter is louder and people move more freely. The same people who were quiet on the first night are now at the front of the room telling stories. The same people that wanted to disappear are exchanging phone numbers. And the same people who felt out of place suddenly feel a part of something. That's how I felt on that retreat in Taos. Instead of thinking about leaving, they're thinking about how fast it went by and how they don't want it to end. And that's what I always think about to that first night when I wanted to leave, because the last night only exists because you stayed. So if you are ever on retreat and you're lying in bed thinking, I don't belong here, I want you to remember this. First night isn't a warning sign. It's an invitation to stay, an invitation to trust, and to let something unfold before you decide what it is. And maybe it's fitting that this episode is airing on Friday the 13th, a day some people avoid and others trust. Because sometimes it's the thing that makes you feel uncomfortable at first that ends up being the thing you are most grateful you didn't walk away from. I hope this reminded you to trust the unfolding. Before we wrap up, let's take a little look ahead at next week's episode. We are talking about why certain places change us. We can't wait to dive into all of that with all of you. Thank you again so much for joining me here on the Bucket List Retreats podcast. I love discussing retreats up one side and down the other. As always, keep retreating, keep exploring, and we'll see you on the next adventure. Bye-bye. Oh, and happy Valentine's Day. And did I mention I got my favorite murder podcast poster that my daughter picked up for me when she went to see their live performance in Portland? And we finally hooked up and she brought it all the way from Oregon for me. I'm thrilled to have it. They are my favorite podcasts. And I'll put them in the description below also, just in case you want to join them. It's just the best.